Ellie Honig, President Trump says he plans to nominate Blanche to become Attorney General permanently. When you hear that Bondi testified that Blanche was responsible for how the Epstein files were released and all the controversy surrounding that, how much do you think that's going to factor into Blanche's confirmation hearing and whether or not some Republicans decide to vote nay?
Well, it has to be a big problem for Todd Blanche, Jake, because there's nothing good in this whole mess of the Epstein files, legally or politically. And if you look at today's transcript, Pam Bondi truly does Todd Blanche no favors. And I don't think she's trying to hurt him. As Paula says, Pam Bondi goes out of her way several times to praise Todd Blanche's skill and ethics and his handling of this whole process. But the bottom line is it's disastrous, right? Todd Blanche was in charge, Pam Bondi makes that clear, of the process that resulted in the release of victims' names, of the process that resulted in the improper redaction of the names of wrongdoers, of a process that was chaotic and overdue and satisfied nobody. And there's no way for Blanche to get out of that. It's actually surprising when you read the transcript how little Bondi knew about what was going on. This seems like it was a complete delegation, and you can bet this will come up in a big way when Todd Blanche goes in front of the Senate for his confirmation hearings.
And MJ, this comes as new details about Epstein's inner circle are prompting House Republicans to push the Justice Department to act. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer and other Republican lawmakers are calling for a Justice Department investigation into allegations involving two men accused of sexually abusing Epstein's longtime assistant, Sarah Kellen, who testified a few weeks ago. Given that, and now this Bondi transcript news, how tough a spot is Blanche in to take some actual action when it comes to the perpetrators of this horrific violence against these women?
Yeah, there have been these parallel tracks in the Epstein investigation. While the DOJ has been releasing these millions of files, the House Oversight Committee has been bringing in people who were in Epstein's orbit to try to figure out what information can we get about his crimes. And Sarah Kellen was a really important one last week because she worked for Jeffrey Epstein for so many years, though she was adamant that she started out as a victim, regardless of the role that she may have played in helping to get girls and women into Epstein's world. And just today, the House Oversight Committee not only released the transcript of their interview with Kellen, they also said that the DOJ now needs to investigate these two men. The first person is Frederick Fekkai, who is a celebrity hairstylist. And the second person is Philip Levine, the former mayor of Miami Beach. Kellen had said that both men in separate incidents had sexually assaulted her years ago. Both have denied these allegations of assault, but I think all of this is such a good reminder as we are talking about Todd Blanche and the future for him potentially at the DOJ, that if he is confirmed, not only is he going to get a lot of the criticism, continue to get the criticism for how the DOJ handled the release of the files, but he's also going to come under tremendous pressure to investigate people that were never investigated in the past by the Justice Department and the federal government for their roles in the Epstein saga.
And go ahead.
That makes such an important point, because one of the most important things for Todd Blanche before he gets for this confirmation hearing is you have to get your story straight on which victims the DOJ has met with, and did you meet with the victims or the lawyers? Every time they answer this question, I leave confused as to who they met with.
Well, I think that's intentional.
Well, I asked the acting attorney general when I sat down with them a week ago, and I think they're saying they met with the lawyers. You have to be crystal clear and you have to show empathy, because there was that disastrous moment at Bondi's last appearance before Congress where she appeared incredibly insensitive towards the victims. And we know that Blanche will say that there is currently no one under criminal investigation and they need more information. But with things like what MJ was just reporting coming forward, he's going to have really clear and convincing answers for this confirmation hearing. Otherwise, this could metastasize.
And Ellie, this news comes as Blanche is already facing a great deal of criticism over Trump's so-called anti-weaponization fund and whether he's serious about scrapping it for good or parsing. He said, we are not going forward with that. But anybody who speaks Washingtonese knows we are not just means we are currently not the second doing it, but that doesn't mean that they won't go through with it in the future, as Trump suggested they will.
Right. And Todd Blanche made clear that they are going to proceed with this immunity deal that's been given to Donald Trump by the IRS for all of his tax returns up to now, which is not playing well either. But I think that these two incidents in particular, the Epstein files release and the anti-weaponization slush fund, raise serious questions about Todd Blanche's judgment, legal and political. The anti-weaponization fund was so poorly received that it caused a revolt among Senate Republicans against Todd Blanche. And so he has now backed off, and I don't know if that was in anticipation of what he thought might be a nomination, but he's the one who put his name on it. He's the one who tried to stand by this, and now he's going to have to either defend it or disown it when he goes in front of the Senate. I don't know which one's going to play better or worse.
All right, thanks to all of you. Appreciate it. Later, I'm going to speak with a House Oversight Committee member who was in the room when former Attorney General Pam Bondi testified. Paula Reed, MJ Lee, thanks both. Ellie, stay with me for 1 second because we're also going to discuss this new plea deal today for John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor. That reporting today, first on CNN. This just in, lawyers for the Kennedy Center just ordered staff to remove President Trump's name from the building by June 12th. That's next Friday.